Oh, I'm sorry. He's rapidly trying to catch Coach Ward. You're going to be here long enough, right? You're going to do it? Yeah, you are. I'd take a few more years. But anyway, the guy is a great lineage of Hollidays, as you know, in the baseball clan between his father and his uncle and his nephews. His son's a baseball crazy too. So Matt, his brother, you know, all that. And so it's a great lineage we've had here in Stillwater for sure. Anyway, this guy's coached All-Americans. He's major league draft picks, on and on and on. He has the second most wins of any Big 12 coach right now in the for his career. And he's second again only to Gary Ward here at OSU. He's done a great job. And if you guys haven't been out to see this team play, you're really missing something. They're a hell of a lot of fun to watch. He's got a great group of returners, but he also has mixed in some young guys that are super, and some on the pitching side. We brought in some transfers, and they're molding those together. So if you haven't been out there, you need to get out to O'Brien and watch them play this weekend. They got a Big 12 event with Baylor. So Josh, you want to come up and talk?
Thank you. I assume I can use that one. There you go. Okay, you're good. All right. I'm going to hire Scott as my agent. It's good. And you know, when you coach, especially during the season, every day is a new challenge. It's working with kids and athletes, developing young people. These guys wake up this morning and they're students for 4 or 5 hours, and by the afternoon they transition to baseball players, and then by 5 o'clock tonight they're back into being college students and trying to figure out life and school and how to socialize, how to meet people, how to fit in, how to be happy, how to deal with stress and all these things. And then you get to play games 4 days a week. So every day is a new challenge. It's something that you can never totally solve, because each day reveals something new to you that you never thought you would see happen. College sports, as you guys, if you're fans of college sports, you know, it's changed a lot across every sport. The last 3 or 4 years, new things have occurred. Well, a lot's changed in the world, let alone college sports. But in particular, just working with young people. In this case, I get to work with baseball players, males 18 to 24. We have an actual 6-year window on our team right now. We have kids that entered at 17 that turned 18 when they got to campus. And we have 2 kids on our team that are 24 years old. So you start thinking about the difference in an 18-year-old and a 24-year-old, pretty big gap. And you start thinking about the progression that they're in as they start their college education and start chasing their dreams, to when they're on the backside of that, having already graduated, working on a master's degree, and maybe have a little bit more of a true taste of where life is headed at 24 than they did at 18. So it's a lot of fun. It's challenging. Obviously, what gets reported on and what gets talked about are the wins and losses. That's something that we all know. But I think probably what's most interesting is just what goes into it each day and what the challenges are, the high points, the things that are fun and enjoyable, and then the things that make you scratch your head and try to come up with new and better ways to do it. And I know everyone in here, for the most part, that I recognize as a leader or somebody in this community or in their family or their business where you face the same challenges. And I can honestly tell you that keep working at it, because it keeps moving. And the more good leadership ideas you can come up with and share, the better off we all are. And that's definitely what college coaching is all about. Our team, as Scott said, is kind of a hybrid team made up of half of the roster is guys that are returning to Oklahoma State, which is always good. The other half are guys that are new to Oklahoma State, whether they're freshmen, which I think we have 12 of, or transfers, which I think we have 10 of. The makeup of our team, roughly 40 team members, is roughly 20 and 20 returners, 20 newcomers. And that's different. You know, used to be you would go to college and you pick one school and you would kind of start there, and most of the time you'd finish there. And right now in college athletics, the athlete is allowed to move more freely. And as a result, you see a different dynamic. So you may have 40 guys on the team this year, and depending on how things shake out, half may choose to return, the other half may choose to go somewhere else where they think the opportunity to play, the social fit, their happiness, distance from home, what they choose to study, all those things factor into where guys are at. So getting that group to become a team, to get to know each other, like each other, work out their differences, embrace one another, and ultimately learn how to play together is definitely more challenging than ever before. But it can be done, and these guys have done a really good job to this point. I think our record is 17-5 or something in that neighborhood. So we've played pretty good at times. So we've had a few games for whatever reason we'll nip you. That's baseball. But as Scott said, they are a good group. We hit some balls a long way. We have some guys that are super unique in that they possess rare talent. Nolan McLean, rare talent. Carson Benj, a freshman, he pitched 5 innings and got 4 hits last night. That's hard to do, So we have some kids that do some things that are pretty remarkable. We have a really talented freshman left fielder that is off to a great start. Reminds you of some of the greats from the past in terms of how he's attacked his freshman season, and just a number of really, really awesome kids that make up our team. So I enjoy it. I think Scott's my 10th year. I think it's actually my 11th year. I think I saw a picture of my son when we got here, and he was 3 years old, and a little bat boy uniform, wearing a pair of baseball pants. It couldn't have been any longer than that. And now he's got long hair, and he's, so time flies. Time flies when you're doing something you love, and obviously doing it somewhere that you love to be. So I think probably one of the most important things I could say to you, having grown up in Stillwater, I'm a very proud product of this community. The teachers I look back on, some of the most meaningful things in my personal development occurred in the classroom in Stillwater Public Schools. My teachers, my high school football coach was unquestionably one of the most influential people on my thinking as an athlete. He challenged me in ways at a young age that I'm so glad he did, because he knew in there was a competitive person that wanted to be great and could handle being criticized. Thankfully, I learned how to be criticized at age 16 so that I can now handle it at age 46. So I think there's so much to be thankful for growing up here in Stillwater. It's a safe place. The people in this town have done a great job of fighting to protect the values and the opportunity to grow up and really be anything you want to be. I always tell people this: Stillwater has produced an amazing amount of successful people, and in so many different areas of life. So I'm very proud and fond of that experience. I see it now in my own children's opportunities to grow up here and move on and pursue their education and chase their dreams. So the work that's done in this town and the community for the kids, and for it to be a great place to live, is very much, it really stands out. I lived in Nashville before I came here. Wonderful place. I lived in Phoenix before that, also a wonderful place. Atlanta, Georgia before that. Wonderful if you like being stuck in traffic for 2 hours a day. And Raleigh, North Carolina before that. So my life experience outside of Stillwater was in some pretty great places, quite honestly, at other really wonderful universities. But there's nothing like Stillwater. And I think it's what attracts a lot of people here. It's what keeps a lot of people here, and ultimately makes it a wonderful place to raise kids, and an even better place to go to college and find yourself and grow. So that's where I see it being at right now, as far as college coaching, being responsible for developing people and helping guys chase their dreams. I'm a big believer in 2 passions in life. Baseball's a passion that gets our guys to this level, but their passion in life and what they want to do after baseball is more important, because it's long lasting. Baseball comes and goes. If you're fortunate enough to have a baseball career, which some guys have, that's a wonderful thing. But if you have that career and at age 35 it comes to an end, what are you going to do with the next 60, 65 meaningful years of life in front of you? And how are you going to impact somebody every single day? And what are you going to wake up and be just as excited to do as you were as a kid to play baseball? So we're trying to answer that question while they're here, so that when they leave, they can go off and have that in their back pocket, because it's a real thing. It's fascinating to see my brother, who had an amazing baseball career. Couldn't have asked for more from the game and from the experience, and then to raise a family and then be post-playing career now to find the meaningful things he gets to do with his life now at age 41, whatever Matt is now. What a huge, exciting time for him and his future now that baseball no longer is the defining principle of his life, but rather part of his life that he can use now to live his life and go off and do great things. So we see that and learn about that firsthand as a family. And so baseball has been great. It's a great thing if you use it correctly to build a life. It's not a great thing if it uses you. And when you're done with it, there's no life to be shown for. So that's my story. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about our team, college athletics, anything you might want to talk about. I'm an open book.
Josh, do you like the new rules? It seems to be faster pace.
Yeah, so if you're not
New
familiar,
rules, yeah.
yeah, you see those clocks in the baseball stadium now. They're like shot clocks in basketball or play clocks in football. We have to get the pitch thrown faster so the games don't last as long. I agree. The games probably took too long. I agree with that. I like that the games move faster, certainly on those cold nights. But I think it's becoming something that's less a talking point and something we're adapting and adjusting to. Yeah. The only thing I don't like, though, I don't like the idea that everything in life has to be dummied down to fit the lacking attention spans of people that don't like certain things. If you don't like something, don't do it. That's all there is to it. I don't go do things I don't like. So if someone doesn't like a baseball game taking 3 hours because it's a great battle of strategy, don't go. But if you like sports and you like competition, I do think it's a positive change to make it more watchable. So from that standpoint, I'm very much in agreement with it. The idea that we can shorten the entire world to match phone viewing habits and things like that, I'm never going to get me there. So don't even try. Yes, ma'am. Great.
The athletes, all of the athletes I've ever had in class have done really well.
Good.
And but I think about the baseball players, and when they go, they stay gone a couple days. That's just how baseball works. Huge
Right.
fan. What are you guys doing to help those student athletes manage their coursework? Because I also have a kid in college and she doesn't even play baseball and can barely do it. So
Yeah, well, it's a great question. We do a lot of things. It's something we're very committed to. We build our class schedules over the course of a guy's 4-year projected degree program, placing high demand classes where, say, labs or courses where you simply cannot miss the class in the fall semester when we're here every day. We try to then place classes in the spring where maybe there's a little bit of flexibility or more reading dominant classes, or now in the last 5 years, this internet burst of courses that are offered online, to where now some kids will actually take all of their Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes online and only attend class in person on Tuesday, Thursdays to reduce the number of days that we miss. But that being said, our academic center is excellent. Our sport counselor is as good as it gets. He's been on this campus back to the day when I played here, so quite a ways back. He's got great familiarity with good courses to take and which semester to take them. And then our learning specialist does an amazing job of helping the guys plan ahead. She helps them target very busy weeks ahead of time so that they can prepare and attack that before we leave town. For instance, we have 6 kids with an exam today. 3 of them take it at 5 o'clock, 3 of them take it at 6 o'clock. We've been preparing those kids for today's exam dating back to last week. We're structuring practice today earlier. That's why I'm kind of in a hurry to make sure practice happens, but they get out of there in time to go freshen up and go review their notes and take a management exam at 5 o'clock. So there's a lot that goes into it. School is not easy. It's important, but not easy. And it's important in the sense that our guys are pursuing meaningful degrees. I'm proud to say that of the amount of kids declared at this point in our program, you don't have to declare until the end of your second year. 60% of the declared majors were in the College of Business, which is an outstanding program and all kinds of different things that they can learn there. Another 20%, I believe, were in the College of Education, guys that have targeted or identified a career in coaching or teaching that they seek. And then a few more guys scattered across campus in various programs. So a lot goes into school, and no different than, as you mentioned, your daughter who's a student on campus, as is mine. School can be difficult. There's a lot going on for these kids. And so we try really hard to put ourselves in their shoes and support them in any way possible. And, I'm pretty hard-headed when it comes to school. I took school very seriously. I can't relate real well to kids who don't. I've learned to, and I've learned to understand how to kind of meet them in the middle. So we've got some good culture built about the value of attending class, the value of doing your very best work, and really celebrating academics. So now they see school as a way to grow in their self-esteem and confidence rather than having it be a constant source of tension. It's become more of an area of celebration now amongst our team. So that's taken a lot of time, but it's something now that we really rally around and we take a lot of pride in it. Yes, sir.
So it's sort of a two-part question. First, what kind of experiences are you having with the faculty in general, the teachers, students, and cooperating with the special arrangements that you've got to make for the athletes that are traveling or that are, maybe need special practice or whatever? That's part one. Part two, can you give a couple of examples of things that you're doing and training and their kids are learning in baseball that helps them later in life, assuming they don't have a baseball career?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Well, as a coach, there's a layer of administrative support between myself and faculty, staff, teachers on campus, and it's built that way for good reason. But what I would tell you is, from what I understand and talking with our players and working with the academic center, who then is that link to the campus, the teachers are wonderful. I think any great teacher wants to help a student who's truly committed to learning. We ask our players to be committed to learning and not to expect any special treatment. However, if you think you can cut a corner and skip a class, or you're not committed to learning, don't expect 1 ounce of help on the other end. That's what I tell our guys. Now, every time we've communicated or expressed, hey, this trip coming up is going to cause me to miss Thursday and I won't be back into town until 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Can I get the work ahead of time to make sure I'm ready for next week? In almost every single instance, we receive cooperation and support. So that part I think is very healthy. I don't remember any recent encounters where a student didn't have a chance to succeed because somebody did not want to work with them around that. What are we teaching them now that they may use later? Well, today our lesson will be about humility. When I go over and meet with the guys today at 1:30, we'll show them a number of video clips recently in athletics where the athletes are displaying an incredible lack of humility on the field, and show them how that action on the field, albeit at the time in which the athlete performed, they felt empowered to do so, did not lead to a long-term good result, and try to teach a humble, successful athlete who expects to be successful rather than an arrogant, overreactive, emotional athlete who's only setting themselves up to fail later. That's a real issue now, because so much of what the athletes do is captured in video and in moments, and they're chasing the moment rather than chasing the process and chasing excellence. As an adult, I hope they will chase excellence. I hope they will do it quietly, humbly, and silently on behalf of others rather than to glorify themselves. So that's what I'm going to teach them today. You're welcome. Sure, 1:30 classroom.
Who's as of today, because everybody wants to know and nobody's going to ask it, so I will.
Okay.
Who's your favorite player and why?
Oh. My favorite player each day is the one that I'm spending the most time trying to help. I spent 20 minutes with Marcus Brown before I came over here today. Marcus and I have the same birth date, so ever since he's gotten here, I've always felt a little connection. September 14th. Marcus is trying too hard right now, and so today I talked to him about what that balance looks like of trying to be your very best without trying too hard, trying to play great for the team, but also wanting to succeed individually, and then where those two things meet in the middle and how to help him get himself back to that place, because that's where he wants to be, but that's not where he's at right now. And, as a coach, the immature, younger version of myself would have gotten angry, frustrated, and probably yelled. The older version realizes this is a time to think and slow down and talk and try to help listen a little bit more, and then maybe insert some understanding and some relatability into the circumstance. So the ones when they're going good, you're just so happy. I have a little system in my mind. It's a green light, yellow light, red light. When guys are in the green light mode, you just let them go. They're in a good spot. They're managing themselves. They feel good about things. Their levels are good. Their confidence is good. Their self-esteem is good. Their thought process is clean. When they get yellow, you kind of remind them of some of the things that really work for them. And then if you ever sense they're starting to slide to red, you want to just pause with them momentarily, restart their system a little bit and let them know that, hey, you have someone here paying close attention to what your needs are. Let's go ahead and reboot it. So I like the guys in the green light mode, but I usually leave them alone. It's the guys in yellow light and red light that need my attention.
Hey, coach, at O'Brate in left field over the fence, it says, make it happen.
Yeah.
Lit up. I want to hear the story. Where'd that come from?
Well, that's Cecil O'Brate's motto. And so when the stadium was built, it was important to Coach Holder, who obviously, as you guys know, if you know, Oklahoma State Athletic, was the athletic director at the time in which the stadium was, the project was launched. Mr. O'Brate was, our main kind of first benefactor in terms of getting that project started and getting the process going of actually building it. And that was his motto. And so we thought it appropriate somewhere in that facility that we recognize that. And that was just a great place to do it. And as you see across campus, it's up in lights at night so that it kind of pays a reminder, to all of us, much like you see on Boone Pickens Stadium or the Sherman Smith Center or others, where those lights and names, the Greenwood Tennis Facility, are just a reminder of some of those things are important to those families that help make those things a reality. So that's where that came from.
Anyway, I just want you to know that as you share a birthday with Marcus Brown, you have to counsel him every once in a while. I share the same birthday as your brother Matt.
Oh,
And I've
yeah,
had
good.
to do that over the years.
Okay,
So
good.
success,
Yeah.
I will take part of that.
That's good.
No, that's a side note, but I saw something in the NCAA this morning that's attacking the transfer rule a little bit and saying the second time they transfer, they're going to make it more difficult. Now, I'm like you. I'm traditionalist. I don't like the time clock and all that stuff, but have you heard of that, or you know that to make the second time you transfer, they're going to make it a little bit more difficult?
Yeah, if you're not familiar with what Scott's asking, right now an athlete can transfer one time and just be immediately eligible at the next school that they choose to go to. And now they're saying that they're going to limit that to maybe just one time rather than two. My thought on this is simple. If someone's unhappy where they're at this age, they deserve a chance to go pursue their own happiness. Nobody wants a young man or young lady at a school they don't want to be at. No one wants to feel trapped where they're at. And no one really wants to coach anybody that doesn't want to be there. But what I think is troubling is you shouldn't be transferring 1 year to the next year in pursuit of financial gain that's been created through these new things that are going on, to where a college athlete is now moving as if they are a free agent professional athlete, because I think we've lost the concept of college sports. We should try to protect it to whatever degree it's protectable. I don't have the answers, and the people in charge don't either. That's why it's like this. Is it a good thing? Is it a good thing? I'm not in position to know. But it is going on. And so I think what you're trying to do is try to capture and stay as true to your belief system as humanly possible. It's my goal that our kids come here, stay here, and graduate from here and love this university. That was the experience I had. It's the experience that made me want to become a college coach, was what I felt about the college experience. And you want that for athletes now. Is it shaking up that way, or stacking up that way? Boy, it sure is interesting what's going on. But, I will tell you this, don't get soured about your love for college sports just because of some of the things you read or hear. There's still an amazing amount of life-changing experiences that happen in college, academically, socially, and certainly on the field of play. Teams elevate individuals still to this day in ways that the individual could never elevate themselves. Gary's sitting here. I think back to Carson. I mean, Carson's freshman year, he had some self-doubt. Thankfully, he grew through that self-doubt. He had a great teammate in Mike Freeman, who told him, I see in you something I saw in myself as a young pitcher. Carson stuck it out. He ended up becoming a leader, a tremendous pitcher, an amazing person. He got his degree. He pursued his professional baseball dream. He's now a successful grown-up man, head of a family, pursuing his next passion in life.
Unemployed.
Well, yeah.
Despite his fatherly influence.
Yeah. But, there's a perfect example of a young athlete at a time in his development where there was probably moments of self-doubt and question whether or not things are going to go your way. And through being supported by a team, the individual has a chance to grow. And it's hopefully those team principles and concepts are something we never lose sight of, even though the end result sometimes now is a little different.
So Josh, when the pitch clock first came along, as an observer who didn't really understand it,
Yeah.
it did not seem to be enforced in the beginning consistently. Is it more consistently enforced now than in the beginning? And then explain to us how it works.
Yeah. Well, the third base umpire has a little kind of like you almost call like a remote control to your television set. And he is given the responsibility to watch the game and decide when to hit the start button on the 20 seconds between pitches. And then ultimately the clock runs down. And then it's, I believe, all of the umpires' responsibilities to keep an eye on it to where if the clock does hit zero, then they put their hands in the air and either say that's a ball or that's a strike because the hitter wasn't ready in time or whatever they see. Last night we played in Wichita where they don't have visible clocks. So the clock was kept by an umpire on a stopwatch with no one able to see it. Doesn't do anybody any real good if you don't know what the clock says to follow it. So that umpire last night took a very good stance, and I think he was very, very liberal with when he started it. Therefore, the clock never got to zero because he made sure that there was no controversy over a clock that nobody could see.
And the hitter has to be ready by when?
The batter has to be staring at the pitcher by 10 seconds. And if you're not staring at the pitcher at 10 seconds, if you're doing this, they'll call a strike on you. If you're doing that, they say you're okay. So again, is it good? It's a rule. We all know there's some rules in life we don't agree with, but we follow them because it's just the way we're wired. We do what we're told. Yeah. Any other questions before I go? Yes, sir.
I appreciate what you've said about the psychology of baseball and player development and relationships. That is really encouraging. Speak just a minute about where we stand in the conference and what your expectations for the team is this year.
Okay, thank you. Well, we played one conference series. We played in Lubbock last weekend. Lubbock is a tricky place. We were playing really well in game one. We had a pretty substantial lead. We were playing brilliantly. We had the old dreaded bad inning where we made a mistake. It led to one extra out. They tie us up. The wind's howling and crazy things happen. We end up losing a very tough game on Friday, 8-7, I believe. Stung. One of the hardest losses I've felt in a long time. More encouraging than that, though, was how we responded Saturday, where we came out and played great, played a great game, played a very good all-around game to win game two. Game three was unique. It was a good game going into the fifth. Jerron was pitching well. It was 2-1, I think the score was, and they hit a grand slam. I mean, grand slams are hard. That 2-1, 6-1 before you blink, and the game got away from us, quite honestly, and they thumped us pretty good. So you take your punch in the gut and you get back off the mat and you respond like we did last night. We're 1-2. We play Baylor at home this week. People ask me my expectations. I expect to win every game. I mean, that's how you're wired. Is it realistic to win every game? Oh, probably not. But at the same time, it doesn't mean you don't attack each one of them singularly with the idea of winning it. I like our team. I believe in our team. I think our team's going to get better as we go. Are we perfect yet? No, not yet. We've got a really unique dynamic in that we replaced close to 90% of our innings from last year being taken on this year by new pitchers. So it's been really encouraging how many of those innings have been really good innings, because when you replace that many pitchers, sometimes you don't always know how guys are going to handle it. And for the most part, they've handled it great. So if we can clean up a few mistakes and just keep getting better, I expect our team to compete awfully well throughout the rest of the season. Yes. Well, Nolan has a strong desire to be on the field playing as an everyday player. And so when when you start, it's a little harder to do that just because of the wear and tear in your body and the time it takes sometimes to recover. And quite honestly, he's probably going into this year the best suited player we had to close games initially. And then we got off to a pretty good start. I think he saved 6 in a row. So things lined up early. So it just kind of fit. It's one of those things where he had experience doing it. He likes doing it. It's agreeable to him, so he can still play the outfield. And it seemed to match the makeup of the rest of our staff to do that. Okay, thank you guys.